Today we're going to learn about quantum human design with Jaime Brennan, and this is actually Jaime's third Tuesday group presentation. Jaime, yeah, that's fun. Jaime has spoken on behalf of the Ely Folk School, which she was the coordinator for back in the early days of the folk school. The first ever employee, right?
Yes.
What a legacy. And then also Jaime presented on the Ely Wellness Center when she founded that. So Jaime's got a lot of talents and skills, and she offers services, experiences, and products that help people in our community achieve tranquility. And I will let her tell us what that means. Let's welcome Jaime.
And thank you everyone for being here. I'm super excited to share the new venture I have gone on over the last year and a half, going into my internal world to discover what's been hiding in there, so that I can tell a more empowering story of who I am and who I'm here to be. And I'm excited to share some of that with you. As Lacey said, I was the first employee of the Ely Folk School, and being the first employee of a nonprofit was a little stressful. And I made a decision that if I was going to be a little stressed, I want to have my own stress from doing my own business, so I opened the Wellness Center. I have been making herbal products since 2010, so it's been a long time. I have been wanting to help people create what I call tranquility, and I'll share a little bit about that. Okay. Thank you. So as Lacey said, I create products. I have some of them up here if you guys want to come up and look, and I have one to actually pass around if you'd like to try. It's called Relief Oil for any aches. Got some magic herbs in it, and it really helps. And I also offer experiences. I lead women through, and I can do men too. I have led some men through herbal facials. It's for anybody who wants to take care of the skin on their face. Being an herbalist, I like to connect people to plants. And services that I offer: quantum human design, herbal education, and coaching. I also, after closing the Wellness Center, I was missing it. And part of the Wellness Center idea was that it was going to be a collaborative of people in the area sharing their passion and skills together. And I still wanted that. So last year, I started the Ely Wellness Collaborative, and we are 12 members, mostly women in the area. We are open to men, sharing our passions and skills and supporting each other and helping raise the vibration and the health of this community. And these are some of the practitioners and wellness advocates and some of the gatherings that we've had. So we get together monthly, and we also offer opportunities for the public to come join us on a monthly basis as well. And you can find us at our website, and we also have a Facebook page. And so Tranquility by Jaime was created a couple of years ago because it comes from me, and I want to share what I have. And tranquility for me is something that I want to create for myself and also help other people create. And through my own journey of finding out what I needed to do for myself to have a healthy body, to feel good in this body, I also noticed that what I was telling myself was a big piece. So a mind at ease, and that my soul wanted to be a part of life. So an awakened soul. So to me, tranquility is a body in balance, a mind at ease, and awakened soul. And I offer all what I do really comes together to help create that for others. And quantum human design, I feel, has become, I understand that as the foundation. What my journey has been about the root. What is the root cause? We have a lot of band-aids that just cover up the symptoms. They don't get to the root cause. And I started feeling that everything I'd done up until last year has been a Band-Aid. And learning quantum human design really got to the root for me. And we all have our own path, and I'm not here to say that this is your path, but I'm here to share what I have found that has worked for me. So we're going to dive in to talk about what this quantum human design is, what makes it up, and I might share some stories about why and how it's helped me. So quantum human design, really getting to where you want to be, is about telling an empowering story. Sometimes we don't even know what those stories are that are going on in the background. So it helps you craft a better story. It really has shown me some of the things that I wasn't even aware of that I was telling myself. And I'm not done unraveling all of that. It's a journey. It empowers you to trust yourself. We all have experiences based on our parents, school, friends that are influencing us on what we should do. And sometimes we move off of the path of what we want to do or what we know to be right for us. And this brings you back to understanding that. It validates what you know to be true about yourself, creates acceptance for yourself and others, because seeing this within yourself and understanding yourself really helps you see how different we all are. Last year, I took a course on moonology, how the moon affects our energy and how to work with the moon. And it led me to taking an intro to astrology course. And in that course, she said that you are a once in a lifetime creation. And it will not happen for another 10,000 years, the way that the planets were aligned at your birth, where you were born. And I was awed by that and blown away by that. Quantum human design took it to another level, because then I could actually see it. All the charts that I have pulled, there has hardly been any similarities at all. They are very, very unique. So we are here to be the highest expression of humankind. We are here to be the highest expression of ourselves. And that is full engagement of and joy that allows us to evolve by consciously and consistently expressing our authentic potential and expressing our authentic potential and making our unique contribution to the world. Taking our directions from spirit, we are physically vital, having all resources we need to fulfill our destiny and take actions that are only for the greater good of the world. Does that sound like how we've been living? But we are all being asked to move to that. I don't know if you've been feeling the energetic changes in this world, but we are all being asked to go within, to really be here and express who we are. And when we are not expressing who we are, we feel pain. Pain can be physical, it can be anxiety. There's a lot of ways we feel pain, but the pain is the barometer that tells us how far away we are from living our true selves. And I have to tell you, I was in pain for 2 years before finding this. I was struggling. I felt lost without having my wellness center. I didn't know what I was here to do. And it's emotional. And I think we all felt it during the 2 years that we were all shut down. For those of us that are here to serve, that need other people, that need things to respond to, it shut all of that off. So it probably was hard for a lot of people. There are only a few people, I'm going to say types in the human design that don't need other people. And they were flourishing, I'm sure. But it was an opportunity for us to go within and really find, are we living in alignment with ourselves? Are we here doing what we want to be doing? So human design helps you understand some of these pain points that you experience. Anger, frustration, bitterness, guilt, difficulty in relationships. This has helped my marriage really show me where we've struggled and why, and understanding the differences in each other and honoring those. So when you're not being yourself, you are hiding behind a mask. And that mask takes up a lot of energy to hold, to be who you're not instead of who you are. And taking all that energy is draining. It leaves you vulnerable to illness, to disease. And when you're not telling an empowering story, it affects your immune system. The woman that I've been studying with, I have 3 of her books up here. Her name is Karen Curry Parker, and she is the one who created the quantum human design. She also has a program called the Quantum Alignment System. She just handed in her dissertation for her PhD in quantum physics, and her work was on the immune system and the story that you're telling. And when you are telling yourself a disempowering story, it actually shuts your immune system down. So it is super important to become aware of the story you're telling yourself so that you can live a healthy, vibrant life. And I really loved what she said about sustainable wellness and sustainable well-being. When you feel well and you have enough, you can share it with others. And that is really what we are all called to do, to share what we have with others. So to create the reality you want to be experiencing, you have to tell a story that matches what you want. So quantum human design helps catalog the story you are telling, changes your personal narrative, and it's a Rolodex of the parts of your story. And it helps you identify your soul curriculum and so much more. So this is what you will get when you put your information into a form to create your chart. This chart would have been somebody born today at 12 o'clock here in Ely, Minnesota. This is what their energy would have been designed to do. They would have been, I won't get into that, telling you what we'll get into that. But why this looks the way it is, let me turn this pointer on. Oops, all right. It's a synthesis of Eastern and Western astrology. And here, if you know astrology, these are all the planets. Not all the planets, but the main planets. And this side is a dark color. This is the day and time you were born. This is your conscious information. This over here is determined 90 days before you're born and is considered your unconscious information. And there is a lot of stuff in this quantum human design and human design that stretches me and what I know to exist and have known. But it's very interesting. You can take what resonates and leave the rest. There are pieces for all of us. And the Chinese I Ching is also in here. And you'll see, it's hard to see, but these are all numbers. The I Ching has 64. And I don't know all of the aspects of the I Ching or the Kabbalah to talk about it fluently. I understand it in this aspect. As we call these here, they're called gates. The Hindu chakra system are all of the geometric shapes in here. If you studied the chakra system, there are 7 chakras that we know where our meridians cross and create an energetic center in our body. In the human design, there are 9 centers. And that was because in 1787, the heart center, the heart chakra split into 2, right here. And also the sacral, the, I can't remember what it's called. The emotional solar plexus in the spleen chakra came from the 3rd chakra. And you can see in history the change in the culture and what was happening at that time, and how living from the heart and living out your own will was happening at that time. We are in an evolution right now, and we are always in evolution. There is more happening and more happening with the emotional solar plexus right now. We are being called to do what feels right for us instead of what we think we need to do. So the Kabbalah, the tree of life, has to do with all of these circuits that connect the gate. And then quantum physics, knowing about the particles, do with your thoughts, and a more empowering story. So here are the 9 energy centers with their names. Oops, I hit the wrong button, sorry. The head center, the ajna, or the 3rd eye, the throat center. So this is our identity center, the will center, emotional solar plexus, the spleen, the sacral, and the root. And depending on whether, so I guess I want to see hands. Who got on my website and printed their free chart? Okay, it'd be a lot more fun if you had your chart in front of you. Knowing your birth time is key to make it accurate. So maybe after this, you guys will all be excited and want to go and see what your chart looks like. So if it's colored in your chart, it's called defined. If it's white, it's open or undefined. And that tells you a lot about how that energy is meant to work or works for you. If it is open, you're taking that energy in from the people around you who are defined, and also the planets. And if it's defined, you have a consistent way that that energy works for you. It is there, it's yours. So let's take this head center. This is the center for inspiration. Inspiration from source, God, the universe, whatever you want to name it, comes in. And there are people who, if they are defined, they are a source of inspiration. They are radiating ideas all the time. I'm open. And my husband's defined. So when you are open, you're taking that inspiration in from around you. And knowing that has been really helpful because I have a lot of ideas. And now I know they may not be mine to actually do. And there are 2 pressure centers in the chart. The head is a pressure center when it's open, and the root is a pressure center. The head is a pressure center to know. So I have wanted to know how things are going to happen. What do I need to do to make this happen? It's created a lot of pressure in me to figure it out, to do it right. So knowing that this is the energy and what I have, I've been able to release the pressure and have a new way of working with thoughts. So this is part of the quantum, is that we have inspirations. We're not meant to always go out and make them happen. We need to sit with them and imagine all the possibilities with this idea. And then to align our emotions with this idea, if we're still feeling that it is ours to do. And then when it is, our emotions are aligned with it, it will then create what they call the magnetic monopole, which resides in our heart, that then attracts into our reality things to then respond to. So for a long time, I've had ideas, and instead of allowing and being in the flow, I have used my energy and my will to make them happen. And that's very tiring. And it doesn't usually go very smoothly. It's hard work. But if you follow this process and take time, because you can and you're worthy of taking that time. We've been in this world that we have to do this hustle and bustle to make it. But when you stop and you trust, then things flow and things come to you that you can then respond to. So again, this is just one center. There are 9 centers full of information. Whether you're defined or open, it tells you about who you are and how you work, and how you can use your energy. And in this openness is where we tend to be conditioned. So I'll just talk a little bit about the emotional solar plexus. We've all heard the term empath, right? An empath feels somebody else's emotions. And like I said, when you're open, you take in the energy and you amplify it. Somebody who's open in this area can feel somebody else's emotional energy sometimes before they do. And it can be amplified. And when you're not aware that it's not your energy, you identify with it. And it gets stuck in your body. And that's unhealthy. And that's part of the reason why I've been on this health journey. Emotions have been something that has been hard for me, and I'm really trying to learn about and master. And knowing this has been really, really helpful. There are 4 motors in the chart. These centers are motors. They move the energy and they help determine what kind of type you are. There are 5 types. The manifester, or the initiator, the alchemist, the time bender, the orchestrator, and the calibrator. So the initiator makes up only 9% of the population. The alchemist is 37, the time bender 33, the orchestrator 20, and the calibrator 1%. And I'll go over these and why, what their traits are in a little bit. But as we are evolving, there are more projectors coming. The projectors are here to lead us, and we need more leaders. So the first one is the initiator. So as we looked at the slide before, this center is the sacral, and it is one of the motors. This is the most powerful motor in the chart. It's the energy to do. It's the energy for life, to creating life. And if you don't have that motor, you're not meant to work as we classify work, a 9-to-5 job, 5 days a week. You can do that for a short time, but in your 30s to 40s, you're probably going to burn out. I'm sorry. Ignore that. So they are here to help initiate us. They have a direct connection to source, the universe, and God, And that information comes in as a non-verbal internal cue as to what to do. They have a big energy and they need to follow that nonverbal cue of their direction. If they don't, all that energy gets blocked in the body and can come out as anger. And it's not anger in our sense of anger. It's just that energy didn't have a place to go. So it's all built up in that body. And these emotions that we're going to talk about can go both ways. The people in their lives, if they aren't informing them, can feel that anger in return. So it's really important for initiators, even though it's hard, it saves time in the long run to share with their loved ones, the people around them, their inspiration that they want to then go do. Then that they won't feel that anger. The people in their lives won't feel that anger. So their purpose is to translate divine inspiration into action. They aren't necessarily meant to complete that action. And that can be hard too, because our culture looks at people who don't complete things as what? Sometimes lazy. Why can't you finish things? We're all not meant to. We're all not meant to have our idea and complete it. We need to bring, well, not we, initiators need to bring other people in to have things completed. Their challenge is to reclaim that power, to be able to follow their cues because of culture, because of being raised by parents who did not know better, by being brought up through a school system that does not know better, and understanding their lack of sustained energy, knowing that they need to take time to rest. And also they move faster than others. So to understand their speed. And this is just one design of a manifester. A manifester can have so many different combinations, but there are two things that are important, is this open sacral and a motor, one of these motors that connects to the throat. And I know this can be foreign language. It can be hard to take all of this in. So it's taken me a year to really sit and absorb and be able to share this information. So the next one is an alchemist. And this is my chart. I am an alchemist. I am here to do the work that I enjoy. And this is what I enjoy. So thank you for letting me do this. We have alchemists sorry, I apologize, I'm not used to this. Alchemists have a defined sacral, but they do not have a motor, one of these motors that connects to the throat. So we saw that the initiator had a motor that connects to the throat. That means that they do not need other people. They can initiate on their own. I need people. This is a sign that I need other people to help this energy get to my throat so that I can then share. So I'm going to share a little bit more about the chart. We talked about the I Ching and how there are gates, these numbers. You can see here that there are gates that only go halfway through the circuits. Those are called hanging gates. It's like having an electrical circuit that's not completed. This hanging gate is hanging out there waiting for that other hanging gate to connect it, to create that energetic flow. And when they are connected, like down here, it's called a channel. And there is a flow of energy that happens between these two centers And that is what makes that center defined. And the ones that don't have any channels, these centers are called undefined. And I have 2 centers in my chart that have no gates. They are totally open. Those are areas where you're meant to become wise about how that energy works. Because you experience it, like I said, in a variety of ways. So the role is to physically manifest creativity and express through devotion. The one thing that has been so helpful about understanding that I am an alchemist is that there is a stair-step learning curve. And we are here to become masters of learning. So if you're an alchemist, you're here to become masterful of the learning process. And in that stair-step learning curve, you have a surge in mastery. You're like, oh my gosh, this is fun. I'm loving it. I'm learning so much. Then you have a plateau. And that plateau is what creates the theme of frustration. You feel frustrated. You're sitting there. It's like, oh my gosh, I just had this surge in mastery. It was so fun. And now there's nothing happening. Mm-hmm. What am I supposed to do? And you're not supposed to do anything because that energy is building. You don't feel it, you don't see it for that next surge in mastery. So if you don't understand this, you could quit before you're meant to quit. You would walk away from something before you hit that next surge in mastery. So it's helpful when you know people around you know, they can say, oh, just building your energy for your next surge. Or is it time? Is it your time to walk away? You know, are you actually done with this? Mm. So the sacral, as I said, it's the most powerful motor in the chart. Anybody who is an alchemist has an internal knowing of what is right. And to find that internal knowing, you just need to be asked yes or no questions. Before I knew this, I felt like when I was looking for clarity, talking to people and they would suggest something, my gut would get in a knot. It's like, okay, you're not helping that energy move. I'm not getting my clarity. But being asked yes and no questions, I feel it. I can feel that clarity. I mean, I can sit and I can ask myself those yes and no questions, but still it's hard to get out of your own way. It's much better when you don't know the questions that are coming and you can really feel that internal response. So the challenge is quitting before mastery. You cannot initiate. You need something to respond to. That has been so helpful for me. Teaching my herbal classes, I have an idea and I put a class out there and I'd be disappointed when nobody came, nobody registered. And I can see the difference when I've been asked to teach. And my internal response was, yeah, it's gone beautifully. So I am in my experience, my experiment of what is it like to sit back and wait for that invitation and how beautiful it is when I can respond to that. It's not easy because I want to see my ideas out there. And this has been so helpful. I don't know how many times my husband has told me, you just need to move more so that I could sleep better. It wasn't enough until seeing this, knowing that I have that energy, that I need to burn it to sleep well, that I actually got it. I'm visual, and this has really helped me understand that. And so the next type is called the time bender. And it is the initiator and the alchemist combined into one. And talk about energy. These people have a lot of energy. They also don't need people because they have that motor that goes to the throat. And so they have that defined sacral. This is a motor and it is connected to the throat. So they have that nonverbal internal cue of what to do. They also have the energy to do it. Their strategy is also wait to respond. And they have both anger and frustration. Their challenge, like the initiator, is the informing piece. And getting people to understand their speed, their patience, being patient, and skipping steps. So that's why they're called the time bender. So they have this stair step learning curve, but they like to jump over some of the steps. They're here to shorten the learning curve. Lacey's shaking her head because she is a time bender. She's a powerful time bender. And because they have all that energy to burn, they will have many projects going on at once. And some of those projects are not meant to be completed. They're just meant to burn energy. So who knows what they've been told in their life? Like, why can't you just pick one thing and finish it? You know, I mean, what does that do to your internal confidence and self of and knowing how you're here to work? So knowing that you may do many things, but not necessarily complete them all, can be very helpful. Release a lot of internal pressure. The orchestrator. These are the ones that are here to lead us. And their emotional theme is bitterness, because if they share their knowledge and what they see as the potential without being invited, then they feel bitter because nobody's seeing and honoring them. So any projector that was raised in a family that was, you can be seen but not heard, didn't ask them, didn't involve them, they have been shut down. They don't have access to their power and their energy and their purpose in life. They shrink. And children, this is great for parents who are raising children now to know what they are, to know that your child, if they are a projector, has wisdom that you may not, and can see what needs to happen to create ease and joy. And whatever else is needed in the moment. They see the potential in all of us and the potential in a situation, and they want to help us get there. So knowing you have projectors in your life, if you know who they are, you know who to go to when you want some advice. And that reminds me, the alchemists and the time benders need to be asked yes and no questions for clarity. All the others just need an opportunity, an avenue, just to share, to talk out what they're thinking. They gain clarity through talking. So, like for orchestrator children, it's really hard because you have to wait to be invited. You have to wait for people to see you and value you, to be invited, even to play. So teaching children to sit back and wait, even though hard, can be really helpful for them because they will be seen, as will everybody if they wait. And again, they don't have this sacral energy. They can do work if they engage in it properly. They can do work if they give themselves the rest they need. They do need more rest, because one of the things that they're doing, which may be hard to understand, they are holding the energy of our world. They are cleaning it. They feel things that happen deeply, energetically on this world. They know what if something bad happened on the other side of the planet. So they have an important job, so we need to honor their rest. Last but not least is a calibrator. These people have all of their centers open, everything. They are here to reflect back the health and wellness of the community that they are in. And this is Sandra Bullock's chart. She is a calibrator. That's why she can be such a great actress. Yeah, it's pretty cool. So I have not, they are only 1% of the population. From all the people in the charts that I pulled, I have not seen a calibrator yet. I'm waiting for the day. They are out there. The one thing that's interesting for them, they are like lunar beings. They have to wait a whole lunar cycle for clarity. So for them, the challenge is to reclaim their power, overcome the feeling of being alone because they are so different, and their lack of sustaining energy. I don't think that moved faster than others should be there. I apologize. I accidentally got there. So you can get your free chart on my website. Just to let you know, I pay for this service so that people can learn more. I want people to learn about their charts and their energy so that you can be more authentically you. Like I said, you need to know your birth information, which include your date, your time, and location of birth. If you do not know your time, you can go on there and play with the time to see if there are any changes in what shows up in your chart. There's a video on my website right here that tells you a couple other avenues to find your time. If it's not on your birth certificate, it's not on my birth certificate. And I know it's not on a lot of people's birth certificates. And so these are things that I offer. Since I've been learning this, there's a lot of information. I love sharing this information with people about their charts. I have an introduction to your chart, where I'm not going to look at your chart ahead of time. We're just going to sit for an hour and talk about what shows up. Or the foundational quantum human design session includes an hour of me prepping and really going through and pulling out some details that are important and helpful for you in your chart, and then going through that. There's the bundle, which would be a month journey, or depending on how you want to set up, and really diving into all of these pieces. And then I offer sacral sessions for those alchemists and time benders. And if you're excited and you want to learn more, I'm going to be doing a workshop series on Sundays this month, starting this coming Sunday at 4 p.m. at the Whitten Community Center. So it's going to be every Sunday for August. And we're going to take time and go through understanding all the pieces of the type. And then at the end, you're going to take time to look at the story you've been telling yourself and write a more empowering story about what you know now about your energy and the type and how it works. And we're going to do the same thing with the profiles, which we didn't talk about, and go over the centers. And since there's so many centers, we're going to break it into 2. And one of the exercises that I found most helpful for understanding the stories that I've been telling myself was the diamond exercise. We can think of ourselves, our soul, our heart as a diamond, and through the years, it gets covered with muck and dust and dirt, with all the things that we've been told about ourselves. And this exercise helps clear that off, because we're here to shine our light, and we need everybody to shine their lights. So the not self diamond exercises, we're going to do that, and you're going to see all this low expression that exists in your chart, and you have to sit with it for a week, and it's hard. But then you get to come back the next week, and when we do part 2, and get to see the high expression of what you're here and have the potential to be, and that is enlightening and fun and freeing. So I'd like to offer opportunity for questions. I mean, there's so much here. I tried to whittle it down to what I thought would be helpful. So thank you.
I have a question.
Yes.
I'm curious, and if you could speak, very briefly to the role of quantum physics in the quantum healing side.
Yes. So human design came, I'm gonna go a little back and tell you some history. Came in 1987 with supernova A. The information came and it came to help break the not self, to become aware of the conditioning within. And the woman that I've been studying with, Karen Curry Parker, I have 3 of her books up here. Finished the work of the man who shared this. He had intentions of writing a higher vibration, a higher language that would draw you forward. Once you understand your conditioning, where do you go then? And unfortunately, he died in 2012, I believe, and didn't have an opportunity to finish that work. Karen was one of his early students and finished that work. So the quantum part is that higher vibrational language that helps pull you forward. It also is that piece that I shared about understanding the ideas and how to work with them. That is quantum physics. It is the information about how particles move, that our thoughts, and this is, I may not be able to explain it well enough. Karen does such a great job that once you think, hypothesize where something will be, it's going to be there. And that is proven in quantum physics. So that is where you then take your thoughts. If you're thinking it, it will be. So make sure your thoughts are what you want. Does that help? That's part of it. And we didn't get into the emotional solar plexus and all the information there. But it also talks about your emotional wave and the frequency of emotional waves and creating a baseline. A lot of us have an emotional wave that's a slow rise and a slow drop. And that drop is hard, especially when you go down and you stay down. So you want your wave to be faster, more up and down, so you don't experience the highs or the lows for long periods of time, but more, you don't notice them as much when you have that type of baseline. I hope that's understandable.
I have another question if no one else wants to ask anything. I'm a big fan of things like the StrengthsFinder assessments and the Myers-Briggs type indicator, and to some extent, even analyzing my astrological sign. What do you say to me in that situation? I'm sorry. What do you say to me in that situation? I mean, this seems differently advanced and more complicated. Yeah, do you appreciate that lens of like, oh, I love stuff like this?
Oh, yeah.
Or does that detract from the earnestness and seriousness of it?
Oh, I have been a seeker and I've done all those. I want to know what I can know about myself. So the one thing that I can share is that I've had a hard time with all those assessments. You have to answer questions. And those answers, I'm like, there's no answer that I want to pick on here. So how accurate is it for me has been what I've been wondering. This is not based on me answering a question. It's based on when I was born. I don't have anything to do with it, what I think or how I think I want to answer a question. So it's outside of me, and I really like that. Does that help?
Yes, and I have one more question. What is your religious or spiritual background? I'm rereading Zen and the Art of Saving the Planet and re-exposing myself to kind of like Zen Buddhism 101. And a lot of what you're saying has resonance with what I've been reading. And so I'm just curious, what primed you to be able to take this tool in so openly?
Okay, I was raised Catholic. We went to church because words sometimes evade me. I want to say disciplined because that's what you were supposed to do, go to church. I don't remember learning much about God. And I was really turned off the one time they said you needed to be in church to connect with God. And I'm like, I connect with him out in nature. And so it's been an interesting journey for me. Feeling disconnected and not sure, I feel connected in nature. But knowing my chart and seeing and reading that to create what I want in my life was dependent on my connection and my trust. So it brought it back.
I don't know if anybody asked this question, but in reference to energy and creating your own chart, seems like it's based in even the quantum theory aspect, based on the energy movements. You mentioned the waves and things like that. So you look, maybe this is an oversimplification, but you look at this as managing the energy that exists, or as adapting yourself through learning about yourself, through adapting to the use or relating yourself to the natural energy that's there. Does that make sense?
Yes, and it brings some thoughts. I would say the word that I would choose is more of an understanding and acceptance about how your energy works. And my thoughts gone. So yeah, maybe I wasn't meant to share it because it's not there right now. I don't know if that helped, Phil. Did that answer your question? So, okay, it came back. It is through our experience and experiment with this. And one thing I want to say, I don't have a chart right here, but if you remember what the charts look like, we have all of the chart. Where we are open, we can experience and amplify it. Where we are defined is the energy that we bring and share with others. So the process of this experiment, this journey, it's not a week, it's not a month, it's years. It's taken years of conditioning to, that we have been conditioned. Breaking that conditioning is actually a 7-year cycle. And so something happened.
Yes. It just made me think that I was thinking of it, I guess, as individual. But you kind of made reference to the idea that it's interactive. You give and receive energy. Well, that's another aspect of it. So it's not a fixed energy. It's a community of energy, more or less. So I have relationships.
Yes, and that brings me back to we are all one, right? We are all connected in a way. There another? Yes, Lori.
Hi, Jamie. Under the types with challenges, are the challenges
so that you're aware of how to be aware of the challenges so that you can be the best version of yourself, knowing you're that type? Or is it, that's just a challenge of being that type?
Your awareness, yes,
Okay.
helps release the pressure.
Okay.
Yes.
Thanks.
So I didn't share this little tidbit. But for one thing, between my husband and I that has been helpful is my head is open. I have no. Sorry. Did you get me? I have no gates lit up, but that sounds better. And my husband is defined with all the gates lit up. He has been a question asker our whole marriage. And at times I felt bad that he would go like, well, why didn't you think about asking that question? It's your family. And I'm like, I didn't. I guess I should have. But so I would feel bad about myself. Well, why didn't I ask these questions? They don't come to me. I'm with people. So for him, he is the question asker. And also he knows now not to ask me questions repeatedly. If I say I don't know, I don't know. If you ask me 4 other ways, I'm still not going to know. And that is like poke, 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 explode. So it's been helpful. He's okay, enough questions. So yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jamie.
Oh, well, thank you guys.